Welcome to the Good Business Dufferin podcast, hosted by the Dufferin Board of Trade through our social enterprise, the Dufferin Biz Hub. Our podcast is based on our belief that small businesses have the power to drive positive change in our community. Our conversations with local experts will help your business thrive, and our talks with community leaders will inspire you to make a difference in Dufferin County. Whether you're looking to grow your business, strengthen our community, or hopefully both, we've got you covered.
Welcome back to the Good Business Dufferin podcast, where we shine a light on the people and organizations making a positive impact in our community. I'm your guest host, Lindsay, the media summer student for the Dufferin Board of Trade. Today, I'm thrilled to have Dina Barazza here, President and Chief Learning Officer of the Talent Consortium. With over 30 years of experience, Dina brings expertise across areas like leadership development, HR strategy, talent management, and diversity programming. She's also an accomplished motivational speaker and facilitator advocating for women, people with disabilities, and young professionals. In this conversation today, we'll learn about the Talent Consortium's mission, their mentor and coaching practices, and how they're evolving to meet the needs of today's workforce. Let's get started. Thank you, Dina, for joining us today. It's so exciting to have you here.
Thank you, Lindsay.
First off, we're just going to start, if you can just introduce yourself and tell us more about your role at the Talent Consortium.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. So as you mentioned, I'm the owner, so I'm the President and Chief Learning Officer at the Talent Consortium. And basically what we are is a HR consulting practice that really focuses on people and process and performance. And my business model is a consortium of people. So it's not always just me, but other experts that help us serve our clients.
So for our listeners who may not be familiar with the Talent Consortium, what is your mission and how did it all begin?
Yeah, how it all began is a really great question. And I think a lot of it was working in the corporate world. And I burnt out. And I said one day goodbye to my current employer and then realized I still had a mortgage to pay. So what you do is you kind of step aside and become an entrepreneur and started the business. And that's how it really evolved. So it was a consortium of talent. So I worked with other experts that I've met along the way in my over 30 years in HR and worked together to really solve a lot of organizations' challenges when it comes to people and workforce strategies.
Nice. So looking and exploring your website, how would you define transformational learning and how does it kind of guide your approach when you're working with clients?
Yeah, transformational learning is an interesting word. I'd like to break it down into kind of learning, which is the process of acquiring knowledge, skills, and abilities through experience. And transformation is the process of change. So it's almost like a recipe of success. You need a little salt and you need a little bit of pepper. So through learning and transformation, this is where you're going to get to the result. And that is learning through experience. And that's how you'll get to the change in behavior.
Lovely. That's really good to hear. So we're going to kind of move on to our next section, which is more focusing on the mentoring and coaching services that you offer at the Talent Consortium. So can you kind of describe the differences between mentoring and coaching?
Absolutely. Yes, sure. A couple of things. When it comes to coach, so your boss is your performance coach. It's usually about a current skill that needs to be developed or evolved. And when it comes to coaching, coaching is really about asking a lot of questions so that you can actually come to a conclusion on your own. Where mentoring is more maybe informal, it's more future focused, and the role of the mentor is more of an advisor. So the key takeaway here is recognizing as a boss, you're the performance coach. You're not the mentor, right? So it's about the current state and doing the role well today, and then maybe going internally to have a mentoring program that's maybe a little bit more formal, to have other skills to develop, or going external to the market to find people to help you develop, which would be more future focused, more of as an advisor role, which is what the mentor does.
Interesting. I've never, obviously there are some key differences that you can tell on the surface of mentoring and coaching, but I didn't realize how different they actually are. So that's very interesting that they have such different mindsets you have to go into, especially with in a boss or like a supervisor role.
Absolutely.
Our next question is, so amongst the other strengths, one of the many strengths of the Talent Consortium is helping individuals with identifying the right support at the right time within their careers. So could you kind of just go through what the process of obtaining a mentor would look like for someone who's interested?
Sure. So in terms of how we would do it at the consortium is really around building a program for a particular client. So we work globally, and we would build a program based on an organization's strategy, their values, and their talent strategy, right? What is it that they're looking to develop within the teams? So we would build criteria in terms of matching, targeted questions to make sure are people actually setting goals so we know there's a change in behavior. So it's not like we have an open public mentoring program. There are many resources out there where people can do that. My biggest recommendation as a person who wants to promote learning and growth is to leverage things like LinkedIn to reach out to people that have certain skills that they may want to acquire, leverage, DBOT, right? And look at all the wonderful experience and people that are in our particular community to reach out to them and ask them to mentor, right? It could be for free rather than paid or, custom built for a particular client.
That's as a young person coming into like the workforce and stuff like that, it's good to know that it's going to be very intimidating reaching out to other people, and like especially because I want to get into the film industry, reaching out to just anyone who has any sort of connection. So it's good to know that there are like people out there that are actually willing to like mentor and like help people, even just as like I usually mention like for free, just to give advice and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Lindsay, I think for you it's great. Go on to LinkedIn, do a search, film industry, and you have nothing to lose to reach out to people to say, hey, I'd like you to mentor me in terms of how do I break into this market? How do I prepare myself for an interview? Nothing to lose. And it's easier to get rejection through email than it is in person.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would recommend that to anyone, to leverage LinkedIn, do a search on skills, and you have nothing to lose. In fact, I love it when past students or people reach out to me because it's a way to connect with people I normally wouldn't. And, it's, we need to give a helping hand every once in a while, like we all started somewhere. So it's important that you do give back. And I think that always comes back full circle.
Nice. So from your experience, what are the key things that make mentoring, like a mentoring match, very successful? And how do you ensure those connections lead to meaningful growth?
Yeah, great question. And the three things that are really important when we create programs, number one is we want to match people based on interests, right? So there needs to be a commonality, something where we can talk a little bit about dogs, gardening, golf, film, whatever our interests are. So that's number one. Number two is the goal. So what is the goal of mentoring? Is it to acquire more skills in terms of how to be a better manager? Is it how to prepare myself for an interview in the film industry? So once we're clear on the goal, we want to match someone that has that expertise or that experience, and make sure they're also experienced with it, right? It's and positive. Acquisition. And then number three would be in terms of a key component is industry, making sure someone understands the industry that they're from, because there's a lot of different areas that they can speak to that will provide some context for you and information that will help you, whether it's breaking into the market and things like that. So those are the three: industry, interests, and clear goals.
That's a good easy way to remember everything. Top three.
Yeah.
So why has empowering underrepresented voices through mentorship and coaching become so meaningful to you in the work that you do?
Yeah. So thank you. And, I'm in leadership. I'm about learning and developing and coaching and mentoring. And if I don't practice what I preach, then there's a little bit of a disconnect with what I'm selling in terms of my clients. So I think in our practice, we do a lot of pro bono work. We do a lot of volunteer work. We try to give back in our community and really lead by example with helping others and giving forward to individuals that maybe want to progress in their career and they don't know how. Just like someone helped us along the way, it's time to give that forward as well.
Right. And you do a lot of like motivational speaking work too, right?
Yeah,
And
lots of team building, lots of motivational. We do a lot of women programs in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space, building women's programs and mentoring programs to empower women to not only have the confidence and to give them the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities to really flourish in the workplace.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. It's also comforting to hear that there are so many, at least you're helping develop more spaces for women to get into certain industries and stuff like that, because I know throughout the years, it's been very difficult for women to break into certain male-dominated businesses. So it's nice that you're like facilitating a space where, young women can be like confident going into those spaces and like making space for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there has been a big transformation when you look at, 30 years ago when I started my career and where we are today. So I would say that it's on the docket of most organizations and interest in building diversity programs and supporting their workforce through mentorship.
Yeah, it's really good to hear. So we're going to move into our third and final section, looking forward for the Talent Consortium.
Sure.
So what are some of the trends that you're seeing in leadership development and mentoring? And how is the Talent Consortium evolving to meet the ever-changing workforce?
Yeah, so thank you. And I am a consortium of experts, so I do have some of the very best professionals working in our consortium. So it's a collective mind. We do lots of meetings, team buildings. We go to conferences, do lots of research, read white papers. So we're on top of a lot of the trends and aware of what's going on. So that's our approach. And to answer the second part of your question, in terms of some trends, when it comes to leadership trends right now, I think really, really fundamentally at the core organization are investing in emotional intelligence. People need to be aware how they show up as leaders and how they actually motivate others. You're only a leader if people are following.
Right.
When we look at Daniel Goleman and we talk about he's the expert when it comes to emotional intelligence, he has a component where we talk about empathy. So I would put emotional intelligence and empathy, which is a huge component, because we need to be a little bit more empathetic as leaders, especially with how mental health now is a little bit of a challenge. We're living in a 21st century that's very different in terms of our workforce. So leaders really will serve themselves and their organization if they could be grounded in emotional intelligence and find ways to be more empathetic with their employees.
Right.
So I find those are really hot topics right now, and we're doing some really great work in that arena. And when it comes to mentoring, mentoring is always huge, and it supports leadership programs. And so we do reverse mentoring. So for example, if I wanted to learn more about film, maybe you could reverse mentor with me and teach me what I need to know. So reverse mentoring is very popular. E-mentoring, which is virtual mentoring, and micro mentoring is happening now. So instead of building a more formal program or meeting every month for 12 months, micro would be like, let's just meet in the next, 2 weeks, once a week, and let's get her done. Let's focus on one particular skill set and let's get it done.
Nice.
So those are some really hot trends right now. We're building programs and really helping organizations get grounded in finding ways to really amalgamate and integrate these programs so they're successful.
Yeah, it's nice to see that you have like options that work best for like certain businesses, because I know some businesses are all online, some like don't need like a 12-month mentoring program. So it's nice that you're like accommodating to like everyone's needs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And another really interesting comment is because a lot of people are working virtual, so that connection of face-to-face isn't, let's face it, is not there as much in some organizations. And so that mentoring is really helping with that gap to build connection within the organization, build a strong culture, and also to break down barriers and walls. So let me understand what you're doing in your department, and I want to learn more about doing this.
Yeah.
So it's a really great opportunity.
That's lovely to hear. So what's the best way for individuals or organizations to get involved with you and your team? And what can they expect from their experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are an organization here in Dufferin County and you're looking to build your workforce, build your talent, we'd be really delighted to work with you to understand what are your culture, what are your needs, and build a training program or process that will help not only attract, retain, develop. When you look at the definition of talent management, it really is about attracting, retaining, developing. So that's really what we do. So feel free to reach out. And the other thing is we also, we complement our offering through doing retreats. And in those retreats, we do a lot of team building, which is something I do recommend because I think when you go off site and do things, people get to, when you make it fun and you make a game like a scavenger hunt, people will be like, oh, I never knew that person actually had a personality. And so by doing that, really, the foundation of every relationship is trust. And so how do we do that with parking, those egos and titles from the office and going out and doing things. So we'll work with organizations to do the fun stuff too.
That's nice. Getting a chance for people to be all on the same playing field for a little bit, right?
Go off site for the day. And so we partner with a Riverside Retreat here in Dufferin County, which is a one-day retreat center, and we work there closely to build their talent agenda.
Nice. So obviously you have many years of experience working in many different aspects, even outside of the Talent Consortium. So looking back, is there any particular project or partnership that you're especially proud of?
So many. I think what I'd like to really kind of maybe have a message out there is doing volunteer work. I find it very rewarding. It's also an opportunity to meet people that you normally wouldn't in your bandwidth or in your industry. So I got to participate as a board chair. Was on the board for 3 years and as a board chair, and that really stretched my leadership skills. I had to manage different personalities, and the motivation for performance wasn't money, keeping your job and getting a paycheck. It was more about doing what's right for the community and the cause. So it was really important to learn about governance and motivating people who maybe have their own ways of doing things, and then really bringing it about the common purpose. So very proud of my accomplishments and building a new board, a new strategy, and hiring an executive director to run it. For me, that was progressive, and in 3 years not being paid while managing other companies and having a life. So that's definitely an accomplishment.
That's so lovely to hear. I agree with people. More people need to go out and just volunteer just for the fun of it.
That's how we learn.
Yeah, exactly. How we meet new people, gain new experiences.
Right.
Yeah. So we're reaching our final question of the day.
Sure.
So to end off, are there any goals you're hoping that the Talent Consortium will accomplish in the future or look forward to accomplishing?
Yeah, it's just continue to do what we do and be very client-centric and offer high-value service in our approach with serving entrepreneurs, not-for-profits, organizations, and corporations. And just have fun while we're doing work as well as we're learning. So we're very happy with where we're at.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dina. It was very lovely talking to you and talking about the Talent Consortium. Your commitment to developing inclusive leaders, transforming organizational culture is both inspiring and deeply needed within our community. So thank you for everything that you do. It's easy to see why your work connects with so many other people out there. If today's conversation inspired you and you want to take a moment to explore the Talent Consortium, make sure that you check out their website, and it'll be linked here, wherever I put it. And just to learn more or to share their work with others. Thank you for listening to the Good Business Dufferin podcast. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes as we continue to celebrate the outstanding organizations that make our regions stronger. Until next time, keep doing good business because good business is good for everyone.